Hello. So I had all these big plans to make a video um, about my retrieval, which happened yesterday. But it wasn't. I didn't have permission to film in the. Um, I didn't have permission to film in the actual retrieval room, and there weren't any screens showing what was happening. So there wasn't really much of a point to try and film that. But basically, the update is that I had my retrieval yesterday, and it went well. I'm extremely swollen, and my abdomen is extremely swollen. So I was experiencing a little bit of pain prior to the procedure on my right side. So during the procedure, my right side was it was experiencing a lot of discomfort. I would describe it as I don't know, like a really like extreme pressure. So the way that the retrieval works, I'll sort of walk through it. So we get there. They call me into this back area, and they set me in sort of where I go prior to, and then where I would go for recovery. They set me up there. They asked me a bunch of questions. They kind of run through some stuff, and then they put in an IV. So they have you empty out your bladder, which was a fairly simple thing for most people, but for me, I ended up letting my gowns go in the toilet. So that was really pleasant and slightly embarrassing. So I changed. So anyways, then I went back and just waited for them to call me into the procedure room. So once they called me into the procedure room, you get up on the table and they start kind of working. They don't put you out for this procedure, so they just do conscious sedation, and you're extremely aware of what's going on. You're able to talk. I remember everything. It's not, maybe some people respond to the drugs or medication that they do give you differently, but for me, I was aware of everything. I don't know if it would have, if I would have felt less or experienced less pain without the medication, but it wasn't a pain-free procedure. They told me that I would feel a lot of pressure, but I feel like I could feel little pokes every time. So what I think they do is they go up with this needle and they just put little punctures into all of the follicles and suck out the fluid and the follicle or the egg, do that for every single one that's inside you until they've gotten it all out. So once you're all done with that, you get up off the table, you walk back to the recovery area, and you just kind of recover. So I recovered very well. I asked for gravel just because I didn't, I had to travel like an hour and a bit away. So I didn't want to have to travel back feeling nauseous. So I just asked for it. And it was fine. So I was experiencing extreme pain after the procedure on my right side. I don't know if it's pressure. I'm not really sure what kind of pain it was, but it was really bad. They gave you this little heating pad that you when you put in the microwave, and It has little beads inside. So they gave me that, and that was like my lifesaver. And they let me keep it. So I just continued to use it. And I found as I walked around, you know, that pain on my right side kind of subsided, and that was fine. But I'm on an ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome protocol right now. So while most people after this procedure would, you know, prepare their bodies for 5 days, approximately 5 days from now, to do the transfer, I'm not doing that. I had to freeze I will have to freeze all my embryos once they have them ready. But I on the other hand have to deal with this hyperstimulation. So it really sucks, and not because I want to do the transfer right now. It's not anything like that. It sucks because I'm extremely swollen in my abdomen. Like, to try and paint a picture for it, it's like inches. So any of my clothing is pretty much doesn't fit right now. I'm very uncomfortable. So with the protocol, they basically have to shut down my body. So right now, well, I thought I was getting away from having to do injections. I'm not. So I have to continue with orgalutran every night for 5 nights, and then I have to take another medication, and I'm not sure what it's called. Letrozole. So I have to take that for 7 days, and apparently these medications are supposed to, you know, help to prevent the side effects of OHSS. So other things I have to do are drink a lot of Gatorade, and I have like a high salt diet, and I think the reason they have me on the high salt diet is because salt helps to absorb, and I think the fear is that I'll have like liquid accumulate inside. I'm not really actually that sure all the specifics of it. It's I just know the things that I'm supposed to watch out for. So the things I have to do, I have to measure my urine. So I have to actually measure how much I'm intaking. So whatever I'm drinking, I have to measure that, and then whatever I'm outputting. So when I go to the washroom, I actually have to measure my urine to make sure that whatever I'm taking in is what I'm exposing out, because they just worry about the fluid, I guess, accumulating, and so I have to go for an ultrasound on Sunday to see how it's looking inside, and they may, and I have my fingers crossed so much they won't have to, but they may have to go back up with a needle and like drain out any of the fluid that might be building up. So I have to measure my urine, I have to eat high, like salty foods, and then there's something, I'm supposed to weigh myself, but I don't actually own a scale, so I can't really do that. But then I also have to take measurements of my waist, so to see if I'm growing, like putting on weight and growing, which I know I have because my clothes are tight. And it's very uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. I feel like I can't really breathe sometimes. Not because I have shortness of breath, but because there's literally no space in my stomach for anything to, like, I think everything's just like pushing up against each other. So it's a really crappy thing, but and it's not enjoyable to go through. I'm not happy that I have to experience these things, but unfortunately, it's just kind of, my body's very reactive to fertility medication. So it's really hard to avoid it, unfortunately. So yeah, so that's that update. So I left there knowing how many eggs I got, and then that number was 20, which I was. If you've been watching all my videos, you'll know that obviously I was very happy about that, considering that in the beginning, I was very emotional around how little that I was producing, and how I thought that the entire time that my cycle would be canceled. But as it turns out, I responded really well to the medication. It just took a little longer for my body to jumpstart, I guess. But yeah, so I ended with 20. The clinic follows up the next day to let you know kind of, because they only let you know how many eggs you got. They don't give you any further information. So basically over the next 5 days, while I wait to see which of the eggs are fertilized and then turn into embryos and can live through to the blastocyst stage. I think that's how you pronounce it. And if they reach that stage, then they'll be frozen. And those will be the ones that, when my body is ready to go, those will be the ones that we use to, try to get a baby. So, so I got 20 out of those. So normally when you have a high number of eggs, typically it means that a lot of them are probably not mature. So I was anticipating that if we had a large number, that it would actually not be that large, because it usually, in a typical situation, apparently usually it means that you don't really get as many that are mature. So that's also me speculating a little bit. So that's maybe not fact, but from the things or from the blogs and stuff that I've read, it seems like most of the time people who have a higher count lose. Not a lot, but a good number to maturity. So my number of mature eggs from 20 was 19, which, again, very happy with that number. But also know that just because I have that number doesn't mean that they're going to be good quality. So we're really hoping for quality also. So out of 19 eggs, so they were able to fertilize 19 eggs, and out of 19 eggs, 17 were fertilized. So it's guaranteed that, well, it's not guaranteed, but it's highly likely that we won't end up with 17 embryos. There's no way of knowing how many you'll get. I am hoping for a good number, though, just because this is not guaranteed. So if they transfer in one, it may not take. I'd like to kind of have a few to be able to work with, just in case that does happen. So we have 17 right now. In 2 days, I'll find out, the status of the 17. We may lose some. They may all. It would be insane if we ended up with 17 embryos, but for now, I'm just I'm just praying that we'll have a good, healthy amount of embryos, whatever that is. Whatever that is, I will be happy with. Unless, of course, it's 0, then probably I would be devastated. To go through all this and to get 0 would be pretty heartbreaking. But it's not unheard of. So we just I'm just praying for our little embryos and our little fertilized eggs, and I'm hoping that they have the strength and the stamina to grow and to get there and to get to the blastocyst stage, and be able to be frozen until my body's ready to take on the next steps. Right now I wouldn't say far from that, but we got a little bit of a way to go. I just need to get myself in shape and healthy, and I'm trying to take all of the steps that they gave me and make sure that I follow their instructions so that there's no complications, and then the transfer can happen as quickly as possible. I'm not really impressed with having to continue with injections. I thought maybe this would be over, but that's part of the protocol to sort of shut down my body. I'm hoping these are the only symptoms that I'm going to be feeling, is the extreme bloating. I would say that it sort of looks like I'm like 4 or 5 months pregnant right now. It's very uncomfortable, but I'm just doing what I have to do to try to alleviate that right now. It's not really doing anything, but I'm hoping it just takes a couple days, and I'll know more definitely on Sunday when I go for the follow-up ultrasound. So yeah, I would say overall it's very good news. It's very positive. We're headed in the right direction. Just gonna keep trying to stay positive and to believe that this is meant to happen for us, and that everything's gonna work out. So for now, the biggest update was that we have 17 fertilized eggs, and we're just praying that the majority of them can push through. So yeah, that's my update. I'm sorry that I couldn't kind of do a video of us there and kind of relive the experience with us, but unfortunately the clinic didn't allow for videotaping. So this is, and I should have updated yesterday, but I was just feeling very out of it with the letting the drugs wear off from the sedation, and being kind of emotional. Yesterday was an emotional day for me. You just go through like a lot of mixed emotions while you're going through it. First of all, there's like your body's just pumped full of hormones, so it's already something to deal with, and then it's the moment you like one of the moments that you've been waiting for, and that you've been going through this all for, and you've been spending all the money on medications for, and it's kind of that moment of truth, and it could end up being really devastating, and it wasn't. So I am so grateful for that, and I'm just going to continue to stay hopeful that I'll be able to give more positive updates. But that, I think, is it for now, and hopefully in the next couple of days I'll have a better number of what my embryos are looking like. Okay, bye.